All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's March 4th, 2026 Board of County Commissioners meeting. I'll now call this meeting to order. And our first task is the Pledge of Allegiance. Today, please join us. 4th, 2026 Board of County Commissioners meeting. I'll now call this meeting to order. And our first task is the Pledge of Allegiance. Today, please join us. 4th, 2026 Board of County Commissioners meeting. I'll now call this meeting to order. And our first task is the Pledge of Allegiance. Today, please join us. 2026 Board of County Commissioners meeting.
There we go.
Only people could sort of hear the pledge through that. Okay.
That's one of the opportunities to get this dialed in while we do the pledge if there's a problem. So the technology.
Yes. All right. So now we'll proceed to citizen input. I have one blue form from Stephanie. If anyone else in the room would like to provide citizen input on something that we're not addressing later in the agenda under a public hearing, you are welcome to do that now. And then we'll also go and check to see if there's anyone online. Stephanie, would you like to come up and join us?
Go here?
Yes, please. Any one of those tasks.
Chair, may I just interrupt for just a moment? Can we just make sure that Commissioner Adair can hear you so that all three commissioners can?
Testing. Patty or Commissioner Adair, can you hear me?
Yeah, one moment.
We're having some audio issues.
It's terrible.
Testing. Technology.
Oh, it's hard. These are only 200 masters. That sounds. I'm gonna so I should have put downstairs. I can go get my laptop.
Commissioner Adair? Yeah, can you hear me?
It's doing a major echo.
It's going in a circle.
Commissioner Adair?
Upstairs if I have to.
Yeah, can you hear me?
It's doing a
Okay, so we can prevent that echo by muting her, but then
Looks like she may be coming down to join us. Yeah.
okay.
Sore throat this morning.
Okay.
She's coming down. Okay.
Appreciate the thought on keeping sore throats upstairs, but
Yes, there is some terrible colds and flus going around. Number of staff out.
and Stephanie, I see you want to comment on the video lottery fund. This is the right time to give comment, and then later on, we're doing that item a while down the way. You're welcome to stick with us and to watch the deliberations and outcomes on that.
Thank you.
I see we also have a raised hand for virtual public comment. So we'll cover Stephanie, and then if there's no one else in the room, we'll proceed to Doreen Tai.
That was pretty echoey.
yes.
Stephanie, please go ahead.
My name is Stephanie Alstead. I'm the CEO for J Youth Services, and I just wanted to heavily support the video lottery funds for nonprofits. And really, I guess what I wanted to say, there's been a number of state changes, there's been a number of federal changes, cuts both ends. And so providing a continuum of services to youth in our community, it's been much more difficult, and we anticipate next year will be even more difficult. And so I just want the county commissioners to understand that and how much of a struggle it is for nonprofits right now. And anything you can do to support nonprofits be super helpful. To give you one just brief example, the state cuts, and I've talked with, I think, all of you in the past about state cuts, but they just came out that with the homeless, that one bed for 1 year is 31,000. And with youth and all the services we provide to youth, we don't exit them into homelessness. We exit them to safe exits. And so we're not just sheltering overnight and putting them back on the street. And it costs more. And so they've limited it to 31,000 a year per bed. Our costs are more like 71,000. And while we're seeking funding numerous other places, it's going to be a real struggle for us next year for the kids that we work with and the kids we help. So I just want to say, please have the video lottery funds support nonprofits and consider doing more if you can, because it's going to be a tough year for everybody. That's it.
Thank you
Thank
so much
for
for
that,
joining us.
Stephanie. And
Thank you guys. Thank you
Right.
for all you do.
I do hope you'll stick with us for the discussion, because I want to build on some of the things that you said.
Thank you, Stephanie, for waiting for me.
Okay.
Nobody wants to be by me.
Commissioner announcements. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
That's
What a
right.
great name.
We have Doreen Tai online. And are there any other hands raised, Kim? Doreen, my apologies. Whenever you're up, please feel free to start your comment.
Good morning, commissioners. I just wanted to make sure that you received my email from this weekend and that you include it to the record. The abuse by the flight schools is ongoing. I just wanted to make sure that you received my email from this weekend and that you include it to the record. The abuse by the flight schools is ongoing. I just wanted to make sure that you received my email from this weekend and that you include it to the record. The abuse by the flight schools is ongoing.
That's what was going on upstairs.
I'll just submit my comment later. Just make sure it's submitted to the record. Thank you. I understand the echoes.
Yes.
I'll just submit my comment later. Just make sure it's submitted to the record. Thank you. I understand the echoes.
Yes. It seems to be clear right now. If you want to give
I'll just submit my comment later. Just make sure it's submitted to the record. Thank you. I understand the echoes.
Yes. Okay. It seems to be clear right now. If you want to give
I'm getting it back twice.
Thank
I
you,
hear
Doreen.
myself twice. Thank you. Bye.
So, given the issues, should we? So these three mics seem to be working. That okay. Okay. All right. Well, if there are no other people online who want to give comment, then we'll go ahead to commissioner announcements.
Nothing.
Commissioner Adair.
No, I have nothing.
Okay. We can proceed now to the consent agenda. We are removing item 3 from our consent agenda, the Solid Waste Advisory Committee letters of appointment and reappointment. That will be postponed to next week, I'm guessing, just because we need to change over some of the names for some of the organizations in the SWAC.
So that's being pulled for today.
Hold for
Got
today.
it. Okay. With that, I'll move approval of the consent agenda minus item number 3.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I will thank Joseph Maudy for his service on the Noxious Weed Advisory Board. And with that, we can call for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
and chair votes yes. Thank you. Okay. Item number 6, public hearing and consideration of order 2026-010 approving an annexation to the Redmond Fire and Rescue District.
Oh, good morning, Commissioners. Dave Doyle, County Council. This is the time set for a public hearing to consider Order 2026-010, which will approve a annexation into the Redmond Fire District. Your packet contains all the approvals, both by the property owner, by the Redmond Fire District, and the county staff that are charged with reviewing that. It's approximately, I believe, a 10-acre piece that will be brought into the district, and now would be the time to open the public hearing, call for any comments, and then take action.
Just for acknowledgement, it looks like this is part of this parcel is already in the district. There just happens to be a line through the middle of it. So this is amending the rest of the parcel.
I believe so, yes.
Yep.
So we can now open the public hearing on annexation of this property into the Redmond Fire and Rescue District. Would now be the appropriate time to proceed to public comment? Okay. So if there's anyone who would like to speak on this issue or on this annexation during this hearing, please come forward. None in the room. Seeing none in the room. Kim, is there anyone online? Okay. Then we can close this public hearing and proceed with the deliberation.
Just like I acknowledge, this is basically completing a individual parcel into the Redmond Fire Protection District, and I support it.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
With that, I'll move approval of Board Order number 2026-010.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Just to acknowledge the address 9210 Northeast Smith Rock Loop in Terrebonne.
Right. Okay. If there's no further discussion, we can call for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Dare, I'll make the motions today. We don't need to go back and forth.
Thank you. very much.
Okay. Item number 7 is consideration of another annexation under Order 2026-011.
Commissioners, this is another 10-acre parcel that's wants to be brought into the district. The district's approved it. The county staff that's required to review it have also approved it. And now would be the time to open the public hearing and call for any comments, testimony.
Okay. With that, we will open the public hearing and look around the room to see if there's anyone who wants to speak on this annexation topic. Seeing none. Kim, is there anyone online with a raised hand? Okay. We can close the public hearing. Discussion or motions?
Just acknowledging that, a single parcel. I guess I'll mention the address 550 Northwest 74th Street, and I'll support this also. With that, I'll make a motion of board approval of order number 2026-011.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I'll just say I'm really glad that these property owners in our community are watching out for fire protection for their homes and are being proactive about joining these fire districts. So with that, call for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
chair votes yes.
You commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Okay. Item number 8, deliberations on the remand of the application to rezone property at 19975 Destiny Court, Bend, from exclusive farm use to multiple use agricultural.
All right, good morning. For the record, my name's Caroline House, and I'm a senior planner with the Deschutes County Planning Division. I'm here today to support the board and their deliberations on a remand associated, as Chair Chang just noted, with a plan amendment zone change request. Before we begin deliberations, I will need board direction related to a record objection. This was explained in the memo, but just for background, following the hearing at the end of January, there was a post-hearing open record period with deadlines established. And then following the close of the record, Central Oregon Land Watch submitted a record objection related to 4 exhibits that were included with the applicant's final arguments. Stephanie Marshall, Assistant Senior Legal Counsel for the county, did review that objection, and in her legal opinion, there were no errors with the information provided in those exhibits. But in any event, the board has the discretion to decide what information you want to consider as part of your final decision and as part of deliberations. And Ms. Marshall is here to answer any questions related to that record objection if you have any. And I'm also here to support any discussion on that.
So just for clarity, so when you say there's no errors with the submissions, it's acknowledging that it's already previously part of the record and it's information that may have been resubmitted, so it wouldn't be a violation?
So there were 4 exhibits. 2 of the exhibits are the relevant ordinances or law that would apply to the board's review in this case. So you can take judicial notice of those 2 exhibits. Those were the first 2 that were attached to their.
So yeah, once again, it's not new information. It's just the facts as we know them.
And
I'm just trying to get clear on the debate, you know.
Hello, good morning. Stephanie Marshall, Senior Assistant Legal Counsel. Yes, there were 4 attachments, final legal argument. 2 of them were ordinances. One was the proposed, basically the restrictive covenant. And then the last one was a chart that the applicant's attorney prepared, summarizing evidence that's in the record and just presenting it in a format that, for ease of presentation. So that's correct. No additional evidence was contained in that chart. It was just the way that the applicant organized that information.
Great, thank you.
And had the ordinances themselves been submitted previously or just cited in past?
Well, I'm not sure if they were actual copies of the ordinances, but it's just like an opinion from LUBA or an ORS. I mean, these are ordinances that the board has adopted previously, and they are supporting the legal argument. They're law supporting the argument.
Another question I had about this, I was trying to recall back to when we picked this back up again, and whether there were any discussions about whether we were going to review this application de novo, or just on these 2 basically these 2 remand issues from LUBA. Did we discuss that, or did we just automatically go to we're just looking at these 2 things?
So there was a board order that established that only new evidence related to remand issue 2 would be accepted. So again, my understanding is there's no issue, there's no new evidence related to remand issue 1 or 2, for that matter, included in the applicant's final legal argument.
Okay, but we did choose at that point in time to only open the record on narrow parameters. Yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of looking back through my notes from prior pieces of this discussion, there have been a number of concerns raised about the way that information was submitted, the breadth of what the board was going to be considering, and so I would lump this complaint or this this issue along those lines. And I think it's important for us to note that people don't think that we are that we're basically boxing issues in ways that suppress, engagement of other parties in the community. I mean, but with that, I have no problem with proceeding with this. Just the higher level questions of kind of how we conduct these, these procedures, and these are, staff is basically implementing direction from the board. So I'm speaking to my fellow commissioners about that.
When I support denying the objection, knowing that the objection is going to be part of the record now too, but I think I'm in a comfortable spot knowing that, just like we discussed, no new evidence specifically may be repackaged, and pulling out something that's on the books and putting it in, back in is appropriate.
I agree. Commissioner DeBoat's statement.
Okay. So then I think we can proceed to deliberations, or do we don't need a formal motion on that?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just to restate, the board will be considering those 4 exhibits as part of deliberations today, and ultimately the board's decision based on the discussion.
Thank you.
Chair Chang, I prepared this deliberation matrix. I'm happy to kind of go through it, but I also recognize that you probably have all read this, but I can go high level summary, or I can go point by point, kind of what's outlined here and expand, but I want to defer to the board on your preferences today.
Well, I think it'd be appropriate. There's only 2 items on this matrix. I think it would be appropriate to go through it, but open to hearing other thoughts from the other commissioners.
I'm ready to, use words around coming to a decision, but we can review it, by reading the words.
Okay, let's go through the matrix.
So 2 issues on remand. So the 2 issues on the deliberation matrix. So I like to put like a simplified statement of what LUBA remanded. So I think that the first remand issue or question for the board is, how does Deschutes County Comprehensive Plan Policy 3.3.1 impact the subdivision allowances in the MUA 10 zone? The board has kind of 3 decisions on this, or 3 options on making a decision on this question. You can agree with the applicant's response, you can agree with Central Land Watch's response, or the board can come up with another interpretation. And it's important to note that this particular remand issue doesn't directly impact the plan amendment zone change request, because this isn't a standard that's applicable to the plan amendment zone change, but it was ultimately included in LUBA's final order. So the board does need to make a decision on this particular issue. It would potentially impact a future subdivision request if this plan amendment zone change is approved. So it's kind of like a second stage issue that would apply to this particular property. So for background, LUBA found or said there was a potential or an alleged conflict between this comprehensive policy and the MUA 10 zoning dimensional standards. So specifically, Deschutes County Comprehensive Plan Policy 3.31 states, except for parcels in the Westside Transect Zone, the minimum parcel size for new residential parcels shall be 10 acres. And then if you go to the county's code for the MUA 10 zone, it's written slightly differently, and it says the minimum lot area shall be 10 acres, except plan and cluster developments shall be allowed an equivalent density of 1 unit per 7½ acres, and plan and cluster developments within 1 mile of an acknowledged urban growth boundary shall be allowed a 5-acre minimum lot area or equivalent density. So again, the direction or request from LUBA is to reconcile those 2 different code sections or policies. So the applicant states that the comprehensive policy in this case relates to the minimum equivalent density in the MUA and rural residential zones. And this policy allows for planned unit developments and cluster developments with reduced lot sizes below 10 acres, but with a minimum equivalent density of 10 acres when combined with the required open space. So going down to their third point, they've also proposed a conditions of approval agreement to ensure that this equivalent density requirement is met. And in this conditions of approval agreement, the lot size for the residential development, each of those would have to be 2 acres. And then it would have to have at least 8 acres to result in an equivalent 10-acre density. So that's their approach. And the applicants also acknowledged that the density bonus that is being referenced here was recently re-acknowledged as being compliant with the statewide planning goals, as well as the county's comprehensive plan. Moving to Central Oregon Land Watch's response, their position is that the county's comprehensive plan is the controlling land use planning instrument. And this policy only allows for reduced lot sizes within the West Side Transect zone, which this property is not in that zone. And they also argue that compliance with this policy cannot be met through a conditions of approval agreement. And lastly, I just want to note that the board's interpretation on this has broad policy implications for any future planned unit development or cluster development. So this is an important interpretation and would broadly impact future subdivision reviews.
Thoughts or discussion?
So, so this is not part of West Side Transect Zone. So I do support the fact that we go down this other path, minimum of 10 acres, condition of approval to keep a density bonus with minimum lot size of 2 acres seems to be the right place. And I understand that making this decision is creating case law for future plan unit development discussions. And I'm in support of that condition of approval.
Commissioner Adair?
I would agree with that.
I would say that I really want us to be able to encourage cluster development immediately adjacent to our urban growth boundaries in our cities. But in this case, the comprehensive plan is pretty clear that there is only one place where we will provide exceptions to that 10-acre minimum, the West Side Transect, and this property is not in the West Side Transect. So we do have a conflict between our comp plan and our code. And in this case, I would say that the comp plan should be supreme, on the question at hand. So I'm going to say that what would I think would be appropriate would be for us to time out this application, or send it, reject it at this point, fix our comp plan to provide clear parameters around cluster developments, and then have this application, have the applicant reapply at that point in time. So I think that this is a kind of fundamental, a fundamental concern with this application. And, there's a reason that LUBA remanded it to us, and the fact that we didn't really grapple with this. We didn't allow new evidence, new findings, new arguments. I think indicates that we basically didn't deal with something that LUBA remanded to us. So that's my position on this.
Well, and I do support proceeding at this time. A comprehensive plan update is in an appeal process also. So, opening up that big picture and taking a step back for this land use application doesn't feel like it'd be the appropriate place. As I say, in the future, if state land use gives us guidance, or the appeals process in front of us gives us guidance by creating this case law, that's fine, but not for this case. So I do support proceeding with this condition for 2-acre minimum lot size.
Well, that's not the way that the goalpost guidelines work in our state land use planning system. The goalposts guidelines say, the laws that are in place when you submit your application are the laws that apply to your application. We can't talk about the comp plan revisions that are in the works. We need to wait for those to be approved, then see new applications for those changes to apply. I mean, I'm just one vote. So if you want to proceed with this, you're welcome to. But I think we are inviting legal challenge
I already mentioned I'd like to proceed.
I would too. Proceed, please.
There you go.
Who votes for agreeing with the applicant response? Chair Chang, I'll just note that as agree with Central Oregon Land Watch's response, or do you want a third interpretation, just kind of for?
You can say that I agreed with Landwatch's response.
All right, so moving on to remand issue 2, the simplified question before the board is the subject property suitable for the farm uses identified by Central Oregon Land Watch based on the factors outlined in OAR 660-033-0201 or sub A1AB? So in this case, the board really has 2 decisions. A vote yes that the subject property is suitable would result in a denial of the applicant's plan amendment and zone change request. A no vote would mean that, again, the property is not suitable for the farm uses identified by Central Oregon Land Watch, and the plan amendment zone change request would be approved. So LUBA directed the county and under remand issue 2 to evaluate whether the subject property is suitable for the farm uses identified in the record, including various types of animal husbandry as well as equine facilities. And they specifically said that the factors to be considered are the factors outlined in the OAR that I just mentioned. And that includes 7 factors. So that's soil fertility, suitability for grazing, climatic conditions, existing and future availability of water for farm irrigation purposes, existing land use patterns, technological and energy inputs required, and accepted farming practices. Additionally, LUBA's order also says that the board must assume that the property retains the irrigation rights that they've recently transferred, which is about 29 acres of water rights. So the applicant response first wants to highlight that only the farm uses identified in the LUBA record are the farm uses that the board must evaluate. And as summarized kind of in the subsequent points, based on the factors in the OAR, this property is not suitable for those farm uses. So related to soil fertility, the subject property has terrible soils, has never had any agricultural activity except for 2 failed attempts. Rock removal or soil enrichments are not economically viable. And they have expert testimony that supports all of this and shows that the property is not suitable for the farm uses identified by Landwatch. Similarly, that's the same argument for suitability for grazing, that their expert testimony demonstrates it's not suitable. Related to climatic conditions, their experts show that there are significant variations throughout Central Oregon. And additionally, that Landwatch didn't raise this argument as part of the previous proceedings before LUBA, and they've waived bringing this up now as part of this proceeding. Related to existing and future farm irrigation, again, the applicant's expert testimony demonstrate that no reasonable farmer would attempt to establish an irrigation system due to the extreme rockiness of the soils. For land use patterns, adjacent areas are all in residential use. For technology and energy inputs, no amount of inputs, the existing inputs on the property are not significant, and it would require substantial work, so improvements like fencing or irrigation equipment to establish any type of farm use, and that would not be a worthwhile pursuit. And then regarding accepted farming practices, the applicant argues that Landwatch misunderstands the term accepted farming practice, and that OSU Extension Service has a list of what are accepted farming practices in Deschutes County. And based on that list and the poor soil quality of the subject property, none of the farm uses would be suitable on this property. And then lastly, I want to highlight the applicant notes that none of the farm operations or properties cited by Central Oregon Land Watch make a meaningful comparison to the subject property. And I imagine if you looked at the post-hearing open record submittals, there was a lot of evidence from both parties on what are supposed to be equivalent farm uses in the area. So moving on to Landwatch's response, their position is their submittals show that the subject property shares the same relevant characteristics as other successful farms in Deschutes County, and that the subject property has cleared and cultivated irrigated land and other improvements that lead it to be suitable for the farm uses they've identified. Additionally, the history of grazing and hay demonstrate that it is suitable for those farm uses. They also note that profitability can be achieved on a small portion of the property, not necessarily the entire property, and that makes it suitable for the farm uses. And lastly, Landwatch argues the applicant cannot demonstrate relevant differences between the subject property and the working farms that they've identified in the record.
So I support proceeding with this application for an approval. It's all about farming for a profit, if this parcel, and we have lots of examples of this, with this parcel could be farmed for a profit at forage or grazing scale, that would be the natural opportunities. It would have been also transitioning to multiple use agriculture, MUA, is an opportunity to farm. As I say, it's closer to the city of Bend, and there's probably going to be development pressure there. But if somebody wants to, put up greenhouses, amend the soil, and farm for a profit on 10-acre parcels instead of this larger one, I think there's a great opportunity there. So that just gets me to the conclusion that I support proceeding.
Commissioner Adair, would you like to?
According to what you just said, a no vote allows us to approve this, correct? So is that exactly what Commissioner DeBonne said?
Well, yeah, so I'll say no, but yeah, that'd explain why. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, I'll concur with that.
And I'll vote yes, that this subject property is suitable for some of the farm uses discussed. I believe there's enough good quality land, over 20 acres of good quality land within the 65-acre property. I believe there's enough total land to accommodate some of the farm uses described, and that there's enough water, assuming that those 29 acres of rights still exist. And there are opportunities to amend the soil to improve the productivity of the overall property, or the key parts that want to be used. So these conditions would allow a range of farm uses with the intent to make a profit. And so 2 no votes, 1 yes.
So the applicants, based on this response, the applicant has requested to draft the board's decision. Staff will coordinate with the applicant on that, and then it would be anticipated in late March or early April, I would come back before the board to present the final decision for your review and approval at that time.
Do you want to put a motion in the record for clarity? Yeah, so I'll move approval with a future final decision to be voted on for, I guess, now I'll go back to the record information. For the record being discussed, but Destiny Court, plan amendment and zone change, we'll just call it.
Okay, and I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, calling for the vote. Commissioner DeBonne?
Yes.
Commissioner Adair?
Yes.
And chair votes no. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. All right. Item number 9, clarification of timeline for ASI Business Group's economic development forgivable loan terms.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jen Patterson, Strategic Initiatives Manager for the record. The first order of business I have before you is just a quick clarification. A couple of weeks ago, we were before you with representatives from EDCO regarding 2 forgivable loan programs. And when I went to go write the contract, I got some clarification that they actually want to backdate one of the contracts, ASI Business Group Economic Development. They want to backtrack that contract to start February 5th of 2025 for when they begin to onboard the 8 new employees under consideration. So after checking with legal counsel, they advised that we come back before you just to have clarification on that. So it would be a 2-year onboarding starting February 5th, 2025, going through February 5th, 2027, and then a 12-month period of retaining those 8 new employees. So all the other terms of the contract are accurate, but just wanted to clarify the dates on that and make sure there was no flags for that.
So the positions are in place and they have been in place since February of 25. Is that the idea?
I don't have exact clarification on that, but my
Maybe
my
some of
understanding is that they started ramping up as of
Okay,
February
so-
5th. So I don't think they're at the full 8 employees yet, but I do believe that they have at least one for the need to backtrack that from February 5th. And the context there is also is that is with the information that EDCO gave me, that was when they first put in their application to EDCO for the forgivable loan program. And then they went through the whole financial feasibility with the EDCO board. And that process took quite a while, I think about 11 months before then EDCO recommended that and then brought that before us. So that was at the end of 2025 was when they finished that, just check on their finances to make sure that they were in line with being able to be applied for this program. And then, a couple months to get before us, before the board for that.
And these were $2,000 per position, $16,000 total.
Correct. Yep.
Jen, my question on this item is, if we are shifting around the timeframes of consideration for these loan projects, if we do this one, are we inviting, are we setting a precedent and we'll have a lot of other loan recipients seeking to shift around their time frame of consideration, to meet the grant requirements?
I mean, that's a good question. So I had a couple questions for legal counsel on this particular application, and one of them was typically it's a 12-month onboarding period for the new employees, and then the backdating, and going back to the resolution of the intent of the original forgivable loan program. There weren't specific parameters, but according to EDCO and those that were involved in the startup of the forgivable loan program, which I think dates back to 2012, so prior to my time coming on board with the county, was that the original program was dated for up to 3 years of onboarding of new employees. So typically, it's been a 12-month period. And it seems like it also has been typical that it starts on the application date. I haven't seen an application date that started so far before it came before us. So legal counsel, in my talking with them, didn't have particular flags about having that start with the application date with the company to EDCO, nor the extended period of a 24-month onboarding period. It was in line with how the original program was written, but the many, the most recent programs that were written pretty quick, that were dated pretty within a couple months of coming before the board and for a 12-month period. So that's kind of been the standard, but it's what they're requesting is not out of line with how the program's written.
Okay. So if the majority of the other loans that are in motion right now, the time period began pretty close to the application date anyway, we shouldn't see other loan recipients coming in to try to do this too.
I mean, I don't want to suppose that. We could have a conversation with EDCO about that, and just requesting maybe a little bit more, closer to the date of the applicant, or even a heads up to the county on we're vetting this person or this organization or this business, and it may take a little longer. But I can't speak to how EDCO does their process on that.
Or maybe they could give us, look back information on, okay, of the loans that are active right now, here's the ones where there would be the potential to make a modification like this as well.
Yeah, we don't have any active loans except for these two that just went before you. All the other loans have come to term, and all the loans that I have written since I've been on board or have closed out since I've been on board we've not had this flag before. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, with just those two others that, were activated close to the application date, that's I don't have a concern that eases concerns that there'll be like a flood of other loan recipients who come in and are asking to basically renegotiate their
Yeah, I don't, as I know right now, there's not other loan considerations in process. And the other loan that was discussed a couple of weeks ago was Western Metrology, and their loan is going to be dated for, or the contract has already been signed, and that's dated January 1st, 2026.
Very good.
And for a 12-month period. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have concerns about that then.
I'm supportive. And it's exciting to have those 8 jobs at, the wage of $87,000. We have had this program in place for many years. We used to have kind of a surge of activity, and that's been quiet. Now we just have a few.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my questions about kind of whether this sets a precedent that affects other loans is in no way questioning this particular loan and this particular company, which I'm really happy we have made a loan to.
Great.
So do we need a motion on this?
I don't think we
or
need.
okay. So proceed as discussed. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I'm up here for the next couple items. So-
Very good.
And Kim, I'm on the Zoom. Can you share, can you promote me to presenter, please? And I'm gonna drop off an updated graph. This is for the next.
Is this with 2024
2024.
allocations included?
And this is replacing the first one that was in the binder then?
Yep. Yeah, you should use,
Just has
you should use the
one-
numbers of the new one. You'll see some.
Yep.
Well, I'll start from the beginning.
One additional.
Okay. I saw it and then I missed it because I was up front. So can you I think it's a quick window.
And Jen's already in herself, but Cam Sparks, budget manager for the record.
Okay, so Cam and I are before you today to discuss fiscal year 2027 video lottery fund allocations. We come before you once a year with projected estimates of what the fund will look like for fiscal year 2027. And in this process, we reach out to past recipients of this fund and request proposals if they want to submit funding requests. So in your packet, and you all received a binder, and then in the meeting packet are all the proposal requests. And we put together a spreadsheet. Cam Whitney and I have been working over the last 24 hours to update the spreadsheet based on a couple different scenarios. But the two main lines that you'll see updated there are the line number 3, which is the state video lottery revenue anticipated, and the contingency amount. And so I'm going to let Cam explain why those numbers are different from what the original packet was. And then also in the current spreadsheet, we did add in the fiscal year 2024 allocations because there were some cuts to our special project partners in fiscal year 2024 that were reflected in 2025. So you could see where they were cut there. And then in fiscal year 2026, the board made the decision to not cut from the special projects, but to cut from the service partner. So we wanted to show the difference of the different cuts throughout the last couple of years there. So and then with that, the other addition to the spreadsheet is column H, which is a 5% increase across the board. And in talks with Cam and the finance team, and Cam will explain this a little bit further, but doing a 5% increase across the board could be a sustainable model going forward without having to do big cuts from any of the particular programs there. So I'm going to turn it over to Cam to give some further explanation. It looks like
So this is a new kind of updated spreadsheet. This was published in our agenda. Has the agenda been updated for somebody that might find this online?
No, it was finalized at 9 a.m. this morning.
Okay.
Yep.
But it will be.
Yes, we'll get copies.
People that are following it know how to find the latest.
And oh, sorry, I'll screen share too, so people can see
Okay.
my spreadsheet. So I'll do the screen share while Cam talks.
Yeah, so Jen touched on that. We did take a look at a long range forecast model, similar to what we've been looking at in the general fund, because we know over the past handful of years that we've been allocating more video lottery revenue than we have. So we've sort of been eating away at that contingency amount, which is just a one-time funds. It's not sustainable going forward.
And so looking at the long range model, the Video Lottery Fund can afford 5% increases. And this assumes a 4% increase in video lottery revenue. And that's why we've changed that number here, just to be a little bit more conservative. The state is estimating a 6.8% increase, but if you look historically, it's about an average of 4%. So we just wanted to be a little bit more conservative with that number. So looking at the model with the 4% increase in revenue, it can afford 5% increases for grants and contributions, as well as the environmental health fee. And then in 2029, or I should say 2028 is our last debt service payment on the Jameson building. So that's that roughly 20,000. So in 2029, when that drops off, we're able to probably ratchet up how much we can allocate. But for the next couple years, I think 5% is a good target, and it still maintains a good level of contingency to be able to cover 1 year's worth of debt service, which is 500,000, as well as just have some cushion, because again, we're just making estimates on this one revenue source that's coming into this fund, and that could fluctuate. So we're bringing some structural balance to this fund, similar to the same framework that we're applying to the general fund.
But according to the new form you gave us, the contingency is now 863,000 instead of $1 million.
Correct.
So that's going to be the wrong way.
Well, I think that is, again, it's not 1 year's worth of revenue, but it is enough to cover 1 year's worth of debt service and still create a little wiggle room if our revenue comes in lower than what we're anticipating at that 4%. And then if in the model, after that debt service is paid off, then our contingency does bump back up to $1 million. So it's just a couple years that we're a little bit below the $1 million mark. And then it will start building again after that debt service falls off.
And just to kind of put this 2024 to 2028 period in a, to try to tell the high level story. In 2024, we significantly reduced support for many organizations supporting kids, shelter, food, drought and wildfire resiliency, and other things, in order for us to be able to bring some debt service into the load that our video lottery fund carries. So that was something that we did to help the overall sustainability of the county organization. And I appreciate that, because our general fund, as we know, is strained right now. It's constrained. But the impact of that was that a lot of really important partner organizations, as Stephanie mentioned, a lot of really important partner organizations took reductions in their video fund lottery allocations at the same time that they are facing, federal and state reductions. SNAP is going down, Medicaid is going down. We heard from the district attorney's office that victims assistance funding is going down. The vet center, the behavioral health that was provided there is being eliminated and folded over into the VA. So, from federal cuts to state cuts, we are seeing these community partner organizations getting squeezed really hard at the same time that they need to be serving people in our community at the highest level possible. So this 5% limited growth scenario for lottery fund is a way for us to better meet those needs in our community, better honor the long partnerships we have with all these organizations, while only temporarily drawing down our beginning working capital, our contingency for the video lottery fund for a couple of years, down to a level of 850,000, and then it'll come back up after the debt service for the Jameson building is done. Now, to the question of what is the right level of contingency to have in the video lottery fund, for most of our cost centers, we take this philosophy. Well, it would be great to be able to cover a whole year of costs for this fund if this funding source disappears, right? If it gets suddenly it gets shut off for a year. The reality of it is for this funding source, the likelihood of the state of Oregon shutting down its lottery program for a year, particularly in the next couple of years, I think is pretty small. So maintaining a balance, a working balance of down to 850,000 and then coming back up after 2028, is a risk that I'm comfortable with. So that's kind of the vision for how we both accommodate carrying some of the debt service for the county, relieving pressure on the general fund, and continue to support all of these important community partners over a 5 or 6 year period.
And one point of clarification I want to make on the spreadsheet, in Jen's column, column H, everything is increasing by 5% with the exception of debt service. But EDCO, we've actually left at the 3% and 4% increase, which is what their request was.
And they didn't take a cut in 2024 to 2025.
They took a cut last year in fiscal year 2026. So their allocation, so in fiscal year 2025, they received 324,517. I can't remember the exact amount that they asked for the increase, but it was somewhere between 3% and 5%, and they got allocated 309,951 in fiscal year 2026. So they were EDCO and the service partners were the organizations that got cut in fiscal year 2026. In fiscal year 2025, it was the special projects, and then a big cut into the discretionary and fundraising pools too. So that's where the cuts came from in 25, and then 26 was EDCO and service partners.
So if our goal was to get all of these important community partners back to prior levels, we could add 5,000 to EDCO and get them to the 2025 level.
Yes, correct. Sorry, just had to look at that.
That's something on the table.
And then just a couple other updates or first of all, for clarification, the 5% increase is from the fiscal year 2025, not from the requests. From fiscal year 2026, not from the requests of the organizations that they put in their proposal. So you'll see there was several organizations who put in a considerable more higher amount of requests than what they were funded in fiscal year 2026. And then one other organization, which was the Newberry Partnership, they declined to put in a request this year.
Yeah, I mean, for me, more than looking at requested amounts, I would look at past funding levels. And again, it was a pretty big hit, to a lot of these organizations in 25 and 26 to have their video lottery fund allocation dramatically reduced. So, in the ideal world, we would get close to restoring these organizations to past levels. I don't know how exactly that would play out with this, kind of overall 5% limited growth type concept, but I would love to see it be a guiding principle for us to try to get organizations back to close to prior levels of funding.
It gets a little close. I think it was a 6 to 7% cut across the board for EDCO and service partners in fiscal year 2026. So 5% gets pretty close to that. And then if it continues at a 5% model year on year end, then it will get there. And then I will have to go back and historically look at the cuts, or I could do math in my head really quick, which I don't like to do in public, on the cuts from the fiscal year 2025 from the special projects partners.
Last week, we heard Angela Wilhelm talk about the destruction of business in Oregon the last 10 years. That's what she said last week at our breakfast. 10%. The last 10 years have been incredibly awful for Oregon businesses. So I would say adding that 5,000 back to EDCO might be really appropriate at this time. I know they're out there working. I'm just hearing about the legislation regarding the insurance for a couple of ours, Mount Bachelor and Hoodoo and what's going on in Salem. It's not helping their industry, and they're not having any snow either. So it's really a bit of a tragedy if we can add something there.
Yeah, so with the 5% model, you'll see in column H64, there's about there's exactly $7,150.05 in surplus. So you could keep that in surplus or put it back into contingency or allocate that out somehow.
And I didn't do math in my head because I don't like to do that either, but I did look at the service partners. It was a 9% decrease from 25 to 26, and then EDCO was a 4% decrease.
Right. Yeah. So this idea of restoring 5,000 to get them back towards historic levels, even though that's not the same as 5%, I think that's fair and appropriate because they took smaller cuts.
And part of the EDCO cut, just for clarification, was we did remove the table sponsorship. So that was several $1,000s. So included in the previous budgets were the table sponsorships of several $1,000s. I would have to check with Brenda to get the exact amount of that over 3 events. And so those are removed. So there was several $1,000s that they got that went directly to their programs that they didn't receive. And then the table sponsorships were paid
So
separately.
even without the $5,000, they're probably.
It was, I don't know if it was exactly 5,000, but it gets close to that 5,000. And then that was paid from the county out of the fundraising and sponsorship pool.
Good to know.
And that was just from last year. And that's also how they structured their request this year, was not to include those table sponsorships in the request.
So the spreadsheet's been put together. Request for 2027 line shows remaining balance negative 281 relative to the requests. And that's to the goal of contingency. Is that what that is? It's like our job today is to remove 281 from this, or 282 almost.
Well, so the total request is that 1,770,000, but we only have 1,488 to allocate. So that's the 221. But then if you look at the last column, if we gave everybody the 5% with the exception of the debt service and EDCO, you have $7,150 left over to allocate if you chose to.
And again, that's accepting that our contingency will stay below $1 million, but only get as low as 850,000 in in FY28, and then bounce back up after the Jameson debt service is removed.
Well, yeah, and I'm just trying, where are we going to go from here? So that's the proposed line at the far side on the right. And are we just throwing out ideas right now, or what? What's the next step? That's all I was kind of thinking. How are we going to?
So I think it'd be great if we could agree in principle on this 5% limited growth, which this far right column is one scenario to get us to the 5% limited growth. But we could jigger or tinker within these categories and within these individual organizations as well. But I think it's a really good at least starting point, and maybe just like a good solution, final solution to how do we continue to cover this amount of debt service for the county organization, take pressure off general fund, support our community partners, at the highest level we can, and keep the contingency for lottery funds from dipping too low.
Okay, well, so I'm just going to start at the top then. So we have 950 in contingency now. We think in a 12-month period, we're going to receive 1,427,000. And then, so we'll end up with a contingency in this proposed list about $100,000 less than we are right now. As I say, I'm just seeing the big picture here with this proposed column on the right, the far right. Mm-hmm. So that's where it gets back to that same thing. So Commissioner Hare, you said, maybe get EDCO back up, or, get them 3 or 5%.
To add another 5,000?
Yeah. So then, okay, so then we're going up in that category.
Considering the business climate of this state. Yeah.
So, and I support 3%, and you're proposing 5? And down
$5,000.
$5,000. Okay, good.
Something like that.
Okay.
I'm not doing.
See, I've got to be clear about that.
I'm not doing the math, but maybe.
I'm not either. I'm just looking at.
5,000 gets us to 4%, Bradco.
Well, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm glad you clarified.
$5,000.
I just thought 5% was generous, but that's why I said.
Oh.
I say $5,000. Okay.
I know 6,100 gets you to 5%.
Yeah, half of the. No, the $5,000 number or thereabouts that's right where I would go to then. Thank you.
That works for me. Yeah.
So basically
Even-
fund them
even-
at the fiscal year 2025 allocations.
Yeah.
And then
Even,
we- and we
even
can-
understanding that, if sponsorships are not included in what we're paying them now, and then we're covering sponsorships too, then it's really like we're actually going higher than.
Yep. It'll be
2025.
about 9,000, I think, total,
Yeah.
including the table sponsorships. I think in this year there was a table sponsorship and then there was just one-off ticket spot. So depending on how you move forward with those of
But yeah.
2027, but we could fund at the fiscal year 2025 allocations of 324,517. That's almost, it's 5,000 and 5,100 about.
The 4.4% increase
Does that
from fiscal.
work for everyone? Okay.
So I can make that change so you can see it reflected in real time.
So our 7,150 of wiggle room.
Now you're down to 1,976 and 5 cents. You can see it on your screens in front of you too.
Okay. And then the next block, we're holding the debt service on those two facilities steady, and we're discussing a 5% increase for environmental health fee subsidy. So, this comes back to the question of, do we want to find funds, either here or TLT or somewhere else to support restaurant inspections and the other work that environmental health does, or do we want to raise fees on the organizations, the businesses that are being inspected?
And just for clarification, this will include a fee raise, somewhere around 3.2, 3.3%.
Right. Sorry, but yeah. So it's not either or, it's what proportions. Larger fee increases or smaller fee increases paired with larger or smaller or larger lottery fund allocations. So 5%. So 5% increase to 114,000. What would be the level of fee increase?
Very approximate, around 3.2 to 3.3% fee increase.
Here comes the lady with the spreadsheet.
Cheryl Smallman, Deputy Director for Health Services. The fee increase would be about 3.6%. And
Okay. So what do we think of that balance?
Yeah, at this point, 3% increase is where we're at. We want to provide these services, make sure we're, showing up for all the activity that happens around here. So, I'm comfortable with, making this allocation and knowing that there's a fee increase. Yeah.
Commissioner Adair?
3.6.
Okay.
There you go.
That's almost inflation rate. So very good. Okay. So we got through the green rows, the blue rows. There's these kind of bluish green, the Sun River Chamber baseline support. In FY26, they received a $40,932 allocation. Now the question is, do we want to bump that up to $42,978 and 60 cents?
I support just keeping it at 40,000. I mean, it's very generous for us to come up with these dollars. This is transient room tax associated, knowing that they're not an incorporated city. Commissioner Dare, I think, has been on that board and is really advocate for this. So, but if we go back to 40,000, that gives us a little bit of wiggle room for maybe something else.
Actually, remember, Sun River provides 75 to 83% of our room tax revenue. Because they were unincorporated. So the fact that they asked for 50, I don't have a problem with going up to the 42. They do a lot of really excellent things for business. We just went to a lunch or breakfast that they helped. So I don't have a problem with the 5%.
I support the 5% as well. In FY24, we were giving them 45,000, and I do, the TLT consideration is real. I think to link that all more tightly together, we could actually be funding them out of TLT instead of out of video lottery funds. But certainly supporting the Sun River Chamber, which supports all the businesses in Sun River, most of which are tourism related, so that Sun River can continue to be a nice place for tourists to visit, so that we continue to get a lot of TLT from that community. That's a whole kind of story and cycle in and of itself. So I
Ms. Thomas is doing an excellent job.
Yeah, I'd agree. Okay, so
oh yeah, that's not a problem. I was just pointing out that I think they're going to be okay if it was a little less, but that's fine.
And then just for clarification here, Shop with a Cop, we did not apply the 5% increase. So the last 2 years, they got 2,500 and we kept that at 2,500.
Because they didn't ask for an increase. And
we didn't reach out to them. I think historically they haven't submitted a proposal. It's just been funded.
They were asking for funding from the public. I believe they were trying to raise like $50,000 for this program. They have this is really great community outreach to people that, on the other hand, might not have that kind of support in their life. So I know, I don't have a problem giving them a bit more. I mean, they've always asked. Well, they did get 5,000 from us. So now they're going out to the private to get their funding.
And they have in prior years too. We haven't been the only funder.
Yeah, we're just a partner with the big picture.
Yeah.
Right, but we were giving them 5,000 and then we went to 2,500. So I'm just saying maybe we could give them another $500 just as something positive for what they're doing.
I support leaving it at 2,500.
I do as well. I mean, if we have a little bit left of that $1,976 at the end, we could reconsider that.
We know we won't. So anyway.
Okay. So, Jen, maybe I should hand off to you to take us through row by row.
Sure. So next up, we're in the purple section here for those following along. We're the special projects support. So these are historically organizations that the commissioners have supported financially for special projects year on year end. They come once a year, give a mid-year update on their projects. And so you'll see that they have the fiscal year request. Most of them went to the request from their fiscal year 2024 allocations. Fiscal year 2025 was when special projects were cut to get in line with the budget. So we, as you can see in column H, it was a 5% increase that we applied from their fiscal year 2026 allocations. And as I previously stated, the one change here was Newberry Regional Partnership reached out and said they were not going to submit a proposal this year for funds.
They all look good to me.
Yeah, I would love to do more to restore some of these to FY 2024 levels, but given where we're at, I would be comfortable with moving forward with these numbers.
Next up, we have our service partners. These are primarily managed by Health Services, all with the exception of the Upper Deschutes Watershed Council. And these were along with EDCO, were the budget cuts from last year that Cam has already addressed. So here we applied the 5% increase from the fiscal year 2026 allocations. It gets them, as you can see, it gets them pretty close to what they were funded historically in the past, but there were some additional requests this year.
I think that getting these groups close to where they were funded in the past is a great thing. And, you know, working this 5% number seems like a fair way of doing that.
I'm supportive of the proposals as listed. As I say, it's, we've had advocacy in the room for a very specific line item in here, and we're just working in all the great organizations that are providing services in our community and working back to where we have been in the environment we are.
Commissioner Adair?
Next. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, aren't you going to wait for me, Jen?
Sorry, I apologize.
Okay. Well, as far as JBARJ goes, it was getting 20 from us in 24, but it's really, it's going to be really hard for some of these groups because I know they're getting cut outside, and it makes their job so much more difficult. And I know some of the groups do outstanding work. So I know we have a budget and we've got to stick with it, but it's definitely not easy.
And so with that, are you okay with these 5% increases, or would you like to see something different?
We have no money left to do anything with.
Okay, next up is our last category, which is the grant programs and a couple more special projects. I think maybe in the future I could put the special projects all under one. I'm not sorry about that. So we have a couple internal grant programs here. The first one is the fuels reduction grant. You'll see that they had a substantial increase to their ask, and that is in part because they had a 3-year funding, outside funding that matched the funding that they were receiving from the county from the video lottery funds, and that has expired. So the money that they have now is the money that they have for the Firewise safety program going forward. Sorry, that was a little choppy.
And I guess FY24 wasn't far enough back to go, but we were funding this at 100,000 at some point a few years back.
It was before my time. I don't know.
That's my recollection.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look.
And that was just a point in time too. I mean, for a couple of years we did that. Now we're this, but before that, it wasn't even a line item in here.
I know they didn't even spend a grant one year in this department. They had a $40,000 grant for juniper removal that didn't even get allocated when it was supposed to. So I'm really hoping that the team that's leading this applies for a lot of grants. I know they're out there.
But these funds that are discretionary for them, that are meant to be granted out to Firewise communities, they never don't spend down this.
I wasn't referring to these funds. I'm just saying they have opportunity out in the world to get more grants and actually utilize their funding. If they do get a grant, it should be used critical. So
I do think we need to look at the different programs within our natural resources shop, as discrete moving parts. And, this is, if we, when we reduce this from 100 to, 40 or 50, we dramatically reduced the small discretionary grants that they had to support Firewise communities, which are, the engines really of community wildfire resiliency work that's happening in our community. So I'm not arguing for more, but I just want to make it clear that these $52,500 are very, very important.
And to confirm, I did look back. They did get 100,000 in fiscal year 21, although it looks like they didn't get anything in fiscal year 22 and another 100,000 in fiscal year 23.
Thanks, Cam.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
And then for the next couple line items here is the discretionary grants. So as you'll see, that's been approximately cut in half year on year end from fiscal year 24 to 25 to 26. So we kept it at the fiscal year 2026 allocation level with that 5% bump as a starting point for consideration there. The fundraising grants, we rolled the fundraising and event sponsorships into one line item starting in fiscal year 2025. So as a starting point, we kept that at the allocation level that has been allocated for the last 3 years. The last 2 years with a 5% bump for consideration for those two events. So those are, for those listening online, the discretionary grants is a grant opportunity that's open to the public to apply for grants due to the limited funding there that, it's been cut through the last few years. So it was originally a quarterly grant application cycle. Then it went to a twice a year cycle. And last year we moved it to a once a year cycle just because there's such limited funds there and a high interest of organization to apply for those dollars. So we can consider doing that again this year or another model up to the board on how they'd like to proceed there. And then for the event sponsorship and fundraising, those are one-off requests that we get throughout the year as we've been brought before you, I think, as recently as last week with that.
But when I see the discretionary grants, I think of this 250-year celebration of the United States of America. So I'd like to do something maybe early here because people are already thinking about just a little extra. I think of the summertime events that we may be doing this year. So, 1 or 2 cycles would be the way to go, I think, there.
Well,
I've already received applications.
I'm sure, yeah.
If we still have this $1,976 to play with, I guess I would encourage us to put that into either discretionary grants or discretionary grants and sponsorships.
Well, we should move $1,776 over.
There you go. Very patriotic.
And keep the
$2,026.
We could do that, and then we could move 200 to the sponsorships category. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. So that's
square us out.
Yeah.
Sure.
So 200 into the. Oh, am I doing my math right here? Into the bottom line. And then.
You can do it later. It's okay.
Yeah, we got it. It'll balance. Yeah.
6 and 5 cents.
So, and I'll just acknowledge, this is the moment we're taking a look at the big picture because there's people that ask about this all year long. What about those funds? What do you do with those funds? So, and I always refer to this spreadsheet. This is the version of this year's spreadsheet, but we've had a spreadsheet each year that kind of lays it out. And this is that policy time that's going to fold into the budget, right? The proposed budget. And it is discretionary for the Board of Commissioners also. It's not even the Budget Committee per se. So it'll be a line item for the Budget Committee, but this is making the decisions right now.
And I will just point out when we finalize this spreadsheet, you'll notice that some of the 5% increases results in pennies. Well, we're just going to round that up to the nearest dollar.
Oh, not a nickel.
And there may be
Did that state law pass?
there, now that I just did that formula, it puts us at negative 1,800. So I'm gonna have to look at that a little bit clearer. There was a summing problem, I think, on one of those. Unless my math was wrong. Oh, I see what I did. This should be,
Well, yeah, you can dial in the numbers.
there we go. Okay.
Yeah, look for a couple more zeros in
I
there.
can't math in
yeah.
real time. Okay, now we're at exactly 0.
Look for the dollars or the $5 opportunities there, and make sure the discretionary grant fund divides by 3. Probably would be good.
Yep.
So this will go forward as a recommendation essentially to the budget committee.
Well, it's a kind of a finished product for the budget committee because we don't debate it there. This is the proposal.
True.
We'll just incorporate this
Yep,
into the
yep.
proposed budget.
Well, so it's just acknowledging, just like, thank you very much for the work that was done in preparation for this. These are challenging times for everybody. The, inflationary environment, escalating costs in all directions. But we're keeping a package of investments the best we can for the citizens of Deschutes County. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's me again. I'm going to keep sharing my screen, Kim.
I'm just looking at this sheet. I'm wondering if you map this on Deschutes County, does anything go down to Lapine?
On the proposals, I would have to go back and look.
I mean, Mountain Star has the facility in Lapine.
And the Friends of the Children allocation, for example, that
A lot of
has
fuel reduction efforts right now.
specifically directed to Lapine.
Okay, so what's going to Terrebonne?
I would have to go back and look. I don't.
I mean, if we're doing this, okay. Yeah, just to be fair.
I mean, there are things like CASA, for example, don't differentiate. It could be from any of the communities within Deschutes County. A lot of these organizations that work countywide, I think you can say are supporting the entire county.
Okay, you ready for the next agenda item?
Yes.
Okay. Next up is the Leadership Redmond presentation. You will be going before Leadership Redmond in this room on the morning of March 19th. And so we put together a draft slide proposal for your presentation. It's going to be similar to the Leadership Bend but with more regional topics on a couple of those slides. So the first few slides are the same as you gave your presentation last month. So we can just go by those one by one to see if there are changes. So we're starting on slide 2 is last time you each had 2 minutes to introduce yourselves. Would you like to keep that format the same? Yep, that works.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Great. And then the next slide is the AOC video. Commissioner Chang introduced this slide last time. Does that still work?
Sure.
The next slide. Last time Nick was part of the Leadership Bend presentation. Nick, I think, is available to be part of this presentation if the board would like, but I don't want to speak for you.
I think so. And this presentation is before the City Club event that day. Is that right?
Yes, it's in the morning. I think it's 8:30 to 9:30 and down in this room. And City Club is in the 11:15.
Yeah, I always appreciate it when Nick can be involved. I mean, during these policy board meetings, it's the three of us, but Nick's running the rest of the whole show.
So the last time, this was the slide where Nick gave just a brief introduction on himself and the role of a county administrator. And then Commissioner DeBone presented the top half of the slide and Commissioner Adair presented the bottom half of the slide. Did that format work for everyone? And would you like to keep that or change that up?
Sure.
Maybe just switch it around so we do something different with Commissioner Adair and I just
Sure, I'll do the
flip them over. Yep.
I'll switch that up. And I think as my notes say, Commissioner DeBone introduced Nick. Do you want to keep that or do you want to switch that up as well?
No, that's good. As I said, let's start off with the county administrator, introduce himself, and then going from there.
Next is the kind of taking a pause in between your presentations, see if there's any questions to start a conversation going. And Commissioner Chang introduced that slide. That worked. Okay, great. The next slide is a slide on county updates. It has a lot of land use. Christy Billinger is in the room. I saw her walk in. She provided the slide and all of the notes. I think you can see the notes too in your packet on these 5 land situations in Redmond. So if you have any questions, Christy is here to answer questions about the notes there, and this can be edited as you see fit, and we can take this out or leave it in or edit it to any extent.
So Mountain View Community Development is an effort in our community. I don't know that we would have like the content to speak of its latest status per se.
Yeah.
But it is something that's happening on our property. I mean,
As I say, I mean, what
if this is,
do we say though?
if we're talking about the permanent supportive housing project, that doesn't go forward without the lease that we provided, which
Yeah, but it's still, do we speak for Mountain View Community Development or what do we do there? That's all I'm thinking. Because just like you said, you know, county provided a lease and people are working hard on this thing called permanent supportive housing.
well, I think you could, I think rather than just focusing in on Mountain View Community Development, we could also talk about the whole bundle of things that are happening out there on county property that that we are more or less actively engaged with. You know, remind people of Oasis Village, and you know, talk about the managed camp that we're not just the landowners for, but are playing an active role in the construction of. And then, you know, mention Mountain View Community Development. We could even talk about the Jericho Road proposal to do a service
there's a lot
center
of
out
stuff
there.
Maybe just more generic with all that. This would be a sub bullet or something, maybe.
Does the project have a name?
Mountain View Village.
Okay, maybe we should call it that.
And just for context too, I did reach out to Mountain View Community Development for that information. So it's up to them.
Yeah. I just saying, you know, it's a project on county land, but is, you know, I'm hesitant to think that we're.
If we could have the headline, Mountain View Village, I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think maybe you know, really what we got is a campus to address housing insecurity with all four of these things: the managed camp, Mountain View Village, Oasis Village, and the Jericho Road Service Center proposed. So I'd be happy to just talk about that whole bundle of things as one bullet with some sub bullets.
And I wasn't sure if Jericho had formally put the request in. I know that, you know, we did the individual meetings with commissioners, but I haven't personally seen a letter with the formal request. I don't know if administration has or if the board has.
I believe we're trying to have what we could go soft on that.
Being discussed, yeah.
on that one.
So I heard one idea was to bundle, I think, these last 3 bullet points into one bullet point with sub bullets. That one I heard?
The
land exchange is different.
The
than-
bottom two.
Or the bottom 2. Okay.
And then, I mean,
Yeah, just top.
do we need to talk about the land exchange first, or do we need to talk about the land exchange after
Maybe
we
it's
talk about the managed camp? I think, you know, we could go either way, but
just other East Side County land things. You know, I mean, that's a very generic way to say it, but yeah, something about sense of place. You know, the South, it's in the urban growth boundary, all that land. So something about.
Something like that, East Side County land, and then sub bullets, East Redmond Managed Camp, Mountain View Village.
Maybe it's in the UGB because that's why we're talking, you know, because the other parts aren't in the UGB. That's why we can't do anything. So maybe it's defining the plays at the edge of the UGB that's on county land.
well, then, I mean, that core 3 falls under that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think that the Mountain View Village and the East Redmond Managed Camp, these are, you know, the long phrase would be, you know, county supported initiatives to address housing insecurity, but that's not a really suitable thing to.
Supported land initiatives, maybe?
County supported homelessness initiatives.
I mean, the interesting part about Redmond that Chris Doty, our road department director, also knows well is the amount of public lands in Redmond are significant. Certainly the county owned land, but we own on the east side as well as the fairgrounds. The city owned airport properties, and now the state owned property on the south side. And then of course it's surrounded by BLM on the east. So certainly there's a lot happening with the land that the county owns, but then there's also a lot that happens with the coordination that we have with other public agencies, with be it the city with the airport, or the state of Oregon with the South Redmond Tract, or whatever that's called now. But it's just an interesting, and then there's just a lot happening on public lands that the county is directly involved in.
So would it make sense, I just put it up as you're talking, a sub-bullet of coordination with agencies, partner agencies I put.
I mean, whatever the board thinks. I mean, the other piece that we know, and this isn't on the topic, and I'm not suggesting we include it, but we also know the city is interested in, for example, the 1,200 acre master plan that they've been proposing for the county property. So that's just plays into the coordination, the partnership, collaboration with public agencies to address Redmond's growth and a wide variety of issues, from just a wide variety.
Would that fall under then the homeless initiatives, or that
No,
separate? Yeah.
no, that the 1,200 acres. I mean that kind of is city dependent. I mean they a number of councilors expressed a lot of enthusiasm for leapfrogging those lands to the front of the line in terms of development in Redmond. But I'm not sure how serious they were about that. I mean, if they're really serious, then it's something that we should talk about, with Leadership Redmond. The one other thing that we're working on with the city that I think people would find important is the effort to secure congressionally directed spending for 35th and 126, and also for Helmholtz. So I don't know if we want to add those to this list or not, but
For the east side of Redmond, we could put a map together, and it would probably be its own slide because it'd be a lot of information. But there's a Core 3 site proposal. But if you just take a little bit of a step out, then you can have a reference to the Oasis Village where the managed camp is being built, where Mountain View Village is going to be. So it's easy to put that map together for that area.
Yeah.
I can help with that, Jen, because I've been doing some of that. So that would be a new slide, but just because we're talking about that area.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure that Christie has all those polygons. Yep. And so instead of this really pretty picture of Smith Rock in here, you could have a big old.
We had a hard time finding an east side.
Redmond area map.
I like the picture personally.
Yeah, so I'm thinking another slide. Once we
slide, okay.
Yeah, just because it'll fill.
To go below this, and you can click through as you're talking about these items here.
These
you
are
can
the
put that slide up so there's a visual of where these are all located. Yeah,
because 21st is on the ground and people drive by it, but then as soon as you have a map, you're like, oh, Core 3 is just there, and Oasis Village is here. You're going here to get to there. So as soon as we see it, it really puts it all together.
Or we could we could do this map as a handout.
Mm-hmm.
Bring 20 copies or whatever for the Leadership Redmond participants.
Yeah, we could do both. We could have it in the slide deck and have one available.
I got a large format one in my office already. We'll put it on the wall too.
Okay, so are we good with these bullet points? So I know this doesn't. So the 1,200 acre master plan was discussed. We don't have that specifically addressed. And if you want to put that in, or keep these topics as is, and this new format, does that work?
Nick, do you have any feel for, the 1,200 acre master plan? I mean, is the city full steam ahead on that, or is it still very conceptual? Or
Yeah, it's still very conceptual. I don't know that I would say it. I was just using that as one more example of coordinating with another public entity on county-owned property, on a big public property.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say these the specific projects are very helpful if you step back, well, you also just think about the big picture categories. It's emergency services, it's urban growth, it's economic development, it's county supported initiatives to address homelessness. There's such big topics, and these are great. Maybe we just focus and highlight on these, but these are the overarching topics. Fair and Expo, recreate.
Well,
Get that on the next
there's a
slide.
whole,
That's in the whole next slide. Yeah, which is great. Yeah. So anyway, it's good.
I do think it's worth mentioning that we're partnering with the city to pursue federal funding for 35th and Helmholtz on 126. That's
Yeah.
a lot of people in Redmond are concerned about dangerous intersections.
Do you want to put federal funding requests, or do you want to put 35th, and do you want to put the intersection?
Maybe you could say 126 and 35th plus Helmholtz, something like that.
Sorry, what was the other one?
Helmholtz?
Helmholtz, but you could actually say Highland. A lot of people know it as Highland.
Is it 35th Avenue or Street?
Street.
Who knows?
Island. Just
Street.
Highland.
Yeah. Okay.
So for to assign the speakers, I put Commissioner DeBonne as core 3. Typically, you're the one who speaks on core 3. I heard Commissioner Chang say that you were interested in talking about the last bullet, which was a county supported homeless initiative. So those are the starting points on who's going to take each of these topics. Is there an interest in who would like to speak about Southeast 21st Street?
I'm looking at it thinking that might even be just a sub bullet under core 3 if you want to do it like that, because there's value getting to Oasis Village and everything. But core 3 in the city of Redmond are the one that paid for it, and then I can just mention that instead of taking a right to core 3, you take a left to the other properties in there. So
That's fine.
yeah, there you go.
Commissioner Dare, do you want to talk about the land exchange, the economic development benefits, Fair and Expo, all that?
Sure. Hopefully I'll be able to talk by a couple weeks. Maybe.
This is a week from today? Or
Oh, it's two weeks.
2 weeks?
Jen is very organized today. She knew I couldn't talk.
And then he can talk about 76 and 63.
Is it N Highland or is it N Helmholtz?
I call it Helmholtz, but
Well, how about it's myself, Commissioner Dare.
What did it say? What did it say?
Here we go. Let's get it precise here. We need precise.
All right, I'm just yeah.
But flow wise, core 3 for myself, Commissioner Dare with Land Exchange DSL, Commissioner Chang with the roads, and then maybe we'll all have a little bit to say here at the homeless initiative. Somebody can start it off, but we can also talk about the big picture as we see it, maybe.
Okay, so then
I mix it up
I
a little.
propose I can talk about the 126th and 35th, and then introduce the homelessness stuff and
Yeah, we make it engagement too, right there.
okay.
All right. So we've got OR 126, it's commonly referred to as Highland. The cross streets that we're seeking to money for to fix is a traffic signal at 35th, and then a roundabout design at Helmholtz. So 35th and Helmholtz are the cross streets. The primary corridor, state highway corridor, is OR 126, also known as Highland.
Helm, Helm.
Thank you.
Helmholtz Way.
HELM
HOLTZ.
HOLTZ. This is my nightmare. Spelling and mathing in front of everyone.
Oh yeah, no, doing it real time.
Okay. All right. So we have Commissioner DeBonne, the core 3, sub-bullet Southeast 21st, Commissioner Dare on the land exchange, Commissioner Chang on OR 126 and 35th Street and Helmholtz Way. Commissioner Chang is going to introduce the county supported homeless initiatives, but we'll have a group discussion with all 3 commissioners on those bullet points. Does that work for everyone?
Actually, because they're talking about a light at 35th and then at Helmholtz, did you say they're talking about a roundabout? So I think they're really big, huge projects that Redmond desperately needs and they're asking for. So I would give them 2 lines. The people at Helmholtz are, everyone goes through their fence constantly at the Little Reindeer Ranch. It's a nightmare.
Like this.
And
That would be great, Helmholtz. And it's actually Highland OR 126. You could put Highland in parentheses. And then down below, Helmholtz is a little bit further out of town. So I would go OR 126 with that.
Sorry, you lost me. OR
Yes.
26.
That's great. And
Yes, Helmholtz go OR 126 and Helmholtz is going to be a roundabout.
Helmholtz Way and OR 126.
okay.
That,
Yeah.
okay, so then we have.
Can I also suggest, since the land exchange with DSL is really connected to the managed camp, that we bump the land exchange to under the 120 Highway 126 items. So switch that
To the top.
second bullet to
Slow.
So the
No.
top is going to hang together better.
I'll move it to
Yeah.
the top,
no, right there. That's perfect.
like that.
Awesome.
Okay.
But that's a very full
And
slide.
then, I'll do some formatting later, but so then OR 126. We'll do Commissioner Chang and then Commissioner who wants to do Helmholtz Way.
I do,
We
because
went DeBone, Adair, Chang, and now we're back.
Well, but I mean,
Or do you want to do it?
like
in-
all we're gonna say is we're working with the city and ODOT on a congressionally directed spending request for these 2 intersections.
Maybe those 2 line items are just by themselves on any slide then too. There's not too much content, but it'll give a sense of place. You could just put a little crossroad map there, so create a different slide. There's no reason we need to be limited.
For these 2.
Yep.
Okay, so this first slide is going to be Core 3, Land Exchange, County Support of Homeless Initiatives. Second slide is going to be, maybe I do federal funding request and then sub-bullet points, OR 126, and then Helmholtz Way. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
That's good. I mean, one of the other things that we could talk about that's happening in Redmond is the secure residential treatment facility. I mean, that's of significant interest, and I do think that there's a pretty good chance when we let the RFP for the youth psychiatric acute and respite care center that's going to land in Redmond too.
So you want that, do you want that in this slide? So sorry, let's jump to this. We have another county's slide too, so we could play around with this as well. So right now we have 1 extra slide in there, and then we have these items. We could add in the secure residential treatment facility into here, or make that a separate slide as well.
how about a separate slide?
Or how about the commission expansion, district mapping, county leadership transitions? Make that a separate slide. Changes in your county government, something like that.
Okay. And then put the secure residential treatment in this one?
Yeah.
You want that at the top?
Wherever.
What about calling it district proposal instead of mapping now? Because the mapping was the effort. Now we're at proposal.
Okay. Got that?
And if this is 2 weeks away, we can
I can
you
do that.
can just take input now and we can.
Yeah, I'll come back next week with those changes. Okay. Anything else on this slide that you want changed?
Maybe see if Jeff Curtis can join us, just because he's the new guy and he's going to be in Redmond.
Okay.
If it fits his schedule. But I mean, I don't know if you support that. We usually don't do that.
But
yeah.
this is happening in Bend, so like.
Oh yeah, it's here.
if-
Yeah.
If we were going to.
Yep,
leadership
I was. Yep.
and then.
Got it.
We won't
I
read.
was trying.
And last is the standard slide with the opportunity for the planning commission recruitment I haven't looked since last week, so I don't think there's anything else.
Maybe put a photo of our Redmond campus up there, the one on Kingwood. Because we can point out how many services are there too. This is the Pray for Snow slide, the last one.
Yes.
It may be happening in the mountains
What do
because
you
we had
think?
we had some pretty heavy snow coming and going this morning, so it's very patchy. But in Lapine, it was snowing for a while.
Noah was predicting maybe 7 to 10 inches, which is great, but it's not the. It's not a
30
It's not a 3. It's not a 3 feet storm. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make these changes and then and I'll come back before you next week and we can review the talking order next week as the changes have been updated. Does that work for everyone?
That sounds great. Thank you, Jen.
Okay, that concludes my time before you today.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could put it in our box as soon as you get it done, that would be nice.
Yep. I will do that. Do you want the draft in your boxes?
Whatever you've done. The update.
I'm going to do one more draft and bring it before you next week. So it won't be the finalized one, but I can put those in, they'll be in the packet, but I can put them in your boxes as well. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Okay, that concludes our regularly scheduled items. Are there other items?
Just acknowledging tomorrow morning, I won't be attending the legislative update. I'll be at the Builders Breakfast here in town with the construction guys. So yeah, I'll be missing that one tomorrow morning.
Okay. Commissioner Dare, any other items?
No.
Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to go to a reception with an OSU provost at Cascades campus.
Yeah, so that's on my schedule also, but I'll be at the COIC board meeting also tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. So you'll stop in.
No, I'll be in
Yeah,
Redmond.
okay, got it. And then we have AOC days on Friday and Monday. Oh, actually, well, one thing I'll mention that's well, it's related to county business. So on Saturday, March 7th, there will be a memorial service for former Prineville Mayor Betty Ropey in Prineville. And anyone, I'm guessing you had a chance to work with Mayor Ropey. For anyone who had a chance to work with Betty Ropey, she was a true believer in collaboration and bringing people in our community from diverse perspectives together to try to solve difficult problems with pragmatic, reasonable, collaborative solutions. And yeah, it's a great loss for the community that she has passed. And I'm glad we're going to have a chance to honor her on Saturday. Nick?
Just one more item. 2 weeks from today, on March 18th, we'll have at least one commissioner that is not able to attend. And the first, at least from 9 to 10, Commissioner DeBona and I will be participating in a meeting with the Baker County Commissioners. So the schedule may be changed for the 18th, and just to let department heads know that there may only be 2 commissioners. Is that right? Commissioner Adair is looking this direction.
Right. I said I could do it on Zoom, but if
Okay.
if we do something with the meeting, I wouldn't hurt my feelings.
And the fan luncheon is at noon that day also.
Yes. So there could be an opportunity for a 10 to 11 board meeting if there are pressing matters. But I just wanted to make sure that 18th is on the board's radar.
Okay.
Yeah, or I mean, we could have an afternoon meeting that day. I mean, if I guess you all can just figure it out based on the amount of agenda items. What can you stack on Monday, and well, what else we've got?
Yeah. So I still had an agenda meeting calendar. Is that just from last year, or we were not? Yeah. So you're gonna do the agenda meeting tomorrow? Just making sure there's no, so it's a,
I've been doing the agenda. meeting.
yeah, no, maybe that was there because of something, but no, it's just from last year still.
Good. If there are no other items, then we do have an executive session today, and we can adjourn the regular meeting.
Deschutes County Board of Commissioners will now convene an executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660. The specific authorization for this executive session is ORS 192.660 to D and E, which allows the board to meet in order to discuss labor negotiations and real property negotiations. Designated staff and the media are allowed to remain during the executive session. However, the media may only report that the board met in executive session and the identified basis for meeting in executive session. Recording devices are not permitted. No final decisions will be made, and at the conclusion, we'll open the doors and invite the audience back to the meeting.
So first, we're going to talk about okay, we're concluding our executive sessions for March 4th, 2026. Staff, please proceed as discussed, and I believe we can adjourn our meeting now. Thank you.